Hello and welcome to this special edition of The Top Story. I'm Do Hongyu. In this episode, we take a closer look at Chinese President Xi Jinping's state visit to South Korea and his keynote speech, jointly forging a sustainable and brighter future, delivered at the second session of the 32nd APEC Economic Leaders Meeting. We'll explore the key messages behind his address, the vision he laid out for the Asia-Pacific, and what it means for regional cooperation and sustainable growth. We begin with our top story. Chinese President Xi Jinping has called on China and South Korea to strengthen strategic communication and consolidate the foundation of mutual trust. He made the remarks during talks with South Korean President Lee Jae-myung in the city of Gyeongju on Saturday. President Xi said the two countries are important neighbors and inseparable cooperation partners, emphasizing that differences should be properly managed through friendly consultations. Before the talks, President Xi attended a welcome ceremony hosted by President Lee and the Gyeongju National Museum. The two leaders reviewed the honor guard and exchanged greetings with senior officials from both sides. For more on the meeting and what it means for China-South Korea relations, here's Yang Chengxi.
The President Xi started by saying that China and the Republic of Korea are important neighbors, and both sides have prospered through mutual cooperation. Now, he made four specific proposals for how the relationship between the two countries should move forward. Number one, the two sides should strengthen communication and build mutual trust, and that rests upon respecting each other's core national interest. Number two is mutually beneficial cooperation. Now, that includes pushing forward the consultation over a second phase of a free trade agreement between the two countries and expanding cooperation areas to potentially artificial intelligence, biomedicine, the green industry, and the silver industry. Now, the silver industry is an important topic because it is one of the key areas of discussion at this year's APEC. Now, in a speech earlier this morning, President Xi said that the ROK has proposed a collaborative framework of demographic change aimed to achieve inclusive growth across Asia-Pacific. And he said that China, on the other hand, is proactively pursuing full life cycle services for all its population. So there's room for cooperation. Now, the third proposal is that the two sides should strengthen people-to-people exchange so as to increase mutual understandings. Now, some context. Last year, China enacted a visa-free policy for ROK citizens with ordinary passports. If you remember, there have been a lot of ROK tourists to Chinese cities such as Shanghai and Beijing after that. And this year, the ROK has enacted a temporary visa-free policy for Chinese group tourists. So all of these policies are aimed at increasing people-to-people exchanges. Now, last but not least, the fourth proposal is that the two sides should enhance multilateral cooperation. It is indeed that both China and the ROK are important drivers for key multilateral projects like the RCEP and ASEAN Plus 3 mechanisms. President Xi said that China has rolled out its 15th five-year plan, and the Chinese economy has great foundation, resilience, and potential. Now, on the other hand, ROK President Lee Jae-myung said that the country has placed great importance to its relationship to China and that the two sides should continually increase cooperation, for example, in ensuring a stable supply and industry chain. Now, after the bilateral talks, the two state leaders witnessed the signing and exchange of a dozen MOUs from commerce to finance to agriculture and, last but not least, to technology.
That was Yang Chengxi on the meeting between the Chinese and South Korean presidents. Since the establishment of diplomatic ties in 1992, China and South Korea have maintained frequent high-level exchanges and close communication. Over the years, their relationship has grown into a strategic cooperative partnership underpinned by strong economic ties. China has been South Korea's largest trading partner for 21 consecutive years, while South Korea remains one of China's top trading partners. This year marks the 10th anniversary of the China-South Korea Free Trade Agreement, a landmark deal that allows South Korean companies, including major firms like Samsung, POSCO, and Hyundai, to export goods to China tariff-free. The agreement aims to eventually eliminate tariffs on 90% of all traded goods. Trade between the two economies continues to grow. In the first 9 months of this year, China's imports from South Korea rose by more than 2%, reaching $135 billion, surpassing its exports to the country. Experts say the two nations' geographic proximity and deeply intertwined supply chains are helping drive this steady growth. By the end of last year, China's direct investments in South Korea had climbed to a record $6.8 billion, making South Korea one of the top destinations for Chinese foreign direct investment among advanced economies. For more on the bilateral economic ties, Su Yuting spoke with Professor Zhang Gong at the University of International Business and Economics.
China has been the Republic of Korea's largest trading partner for 21 years, and bilateral trade reached over $328 billion in 2024, despite global uncertainty. What's the significance of resilient bilateral economic and trade relations?
Yeah, I think China and Republic of Korea's relationship is extremely important. ROK's trade with China ranks among, I think, top 5 trading partners of China. And this goes back for many years, and it's a long tradition of close cooperation in the economic arena and business arena. We have quite a few important Korean companies investing in China for a long time. Both sides' trade has been booming. But I think, what highlights this issue, the importance of this issue is that recently, there's some skepticism within ROK's political community that emphasize the competitive nature of the China's economy vis-a-vis ROK's economy. So I think it is against that backdrop that President Xi proposed to Korea's president that this relationship is extremely important, even amidst the competitive elements. There is still a lot of room for cooperation, and especially not just in economic area, but also in political area as well, in foreign policy area as well.
That was Zhang Gong, a professor of economics at the University of International Business and Economics. Regional cooperation and connectivity are high on the agenda at this year's APEC gathering. One area already showing strong signs of recovery is tourism, particularly between China and South Korea. Shen Hom reports from Seoul, where travelers and experts say renewed exchanges could play an important role in strengthening bilateral ties.
Chinese tourists are once again filling the streets of Seoul. From Myeongdong's trendy shops to local eateries, visitors are rediscovering a country next door and contributing to a rebound in cross-border travel.
Taking the subway and such is very convenient, and people here are very enthusiastic. Even if we can't understand each other, we can communicate through translation apps. And also, there are many Chinese people here who speak Chinese.
Most of the places we went, there are some merchants like Alipay, WeChat, or even other banks like OCBC. They have the QR code. We can scan it, and it's good for us to pay when we don't have much more cash, Korean won.
Seoul's Myeongdong district has long been a popular attraction for overseas tourists, including Chinese travelers, and the streets here show just how strong the tourism comeback has been since the COVID pandemic. Experts say renewed interest on both sides could help revive not only local businesses, but also broader people-to-people ties between China and South Korea. And the flow goes both ways. Korean travel creators like Hello Jackson are showcasing China's landscapes and culture to a growing audience online, helping bridge perceptions between the two neighbors.
The videos that get the most likes on my channel tend to be from nature spots like Zhangjiajie, Huangshan, or Mount Tai. A lot of my fans are in their 50s to 70s, and they love seeing those grand, breathtaking landscapes. It's like watching a traditional Chinese ink painting come to life right in front of your eyes.
Tourism experts say this renewed interest is more than just a travel trend. The return of Chinese visitors is giving a major lift to South Korea's economy and could provide momentum for wider regional cooperation.
When we factor in secondary effects such as production and job creation, the total contribution of Chinese tourism is projected to reach nearly $14 billion this year. At a time when the ROK's domestic consumption has been sluggish, the return of Chinese travellers could provide a much-needed boost to the local economy.
관광객을 통해서 내수 진작의 측면들이
That message of economic recovery and inclusiveness echoes the spirit of APEC, where leaders will gather this week to discuss sustainable growth and cross-border collaboration.
어떻게 보면은 이런 APEC을 계기로 해서
If APEC can help foster more inclusive and open societies, tourism can serve as a powerful tool to build those connections. I believe that through this, we can strengthen both the international community and relations between the ROK and China.
한중 관계가 발전을 이루지 않을까라는 좀 기대를 하고 있습니다.
As both nations rebuild connections through travel, the hope is that people-to-people exchanges will continue to pave the way for broader regional understanding, one visit at a time.
That was Shane Hum reporting. Coming up, the final day of the 32nd APEC Economic Leaders Meeting.
This year, the world comes to the ROK, where leaders of the Asia-Pacific charts a shared vision for a sustainable tomorrow.
To connect economies, ideas, and people.
Strengthening trade, investment, and digital links across the region.
To innovate, harnessing AI, digital transformation, and smart industries while bridging the digital gap.
And to prosper, tackling climate change, securing clean energy, and ensuring the growth benefits everyone.
From global policies to local impact, we bring you the visions, the challenges, and the breakthroughs that matter.
Follow our extensive, in-depth coverage of APEC 2025 on CGTN.
Welcome back to this special edition of The Top Story. Chinese President Xi Jinping has called on Asia-Pacific economies to strengthen cooperation and embrace innovation in order to build a sustainable and brighter future together. He made these remarks during the second session of the 32nd APEC Economic Leaders Meeting in South Korea. Our reporter Chi Zhi has more.
President Xi Jinping said the Asia-Pacific region must work together to seize new opportunities brought by technological change while addressing shared challenges such as climate change, energy security, and uneven global development. He presented a three-point proposal for deeper regional cooperation. The president urged economies to unleash the potential of digital and smart development and to accelerate the nurturing of new, high-quality productive forces. He called for safe and orderly data flows, open-source cooperation, and the responsible development of artificial intelligence. President Xi announced that China has proposed the creation of a World Artificial Intelligence Cooperation Organization and is prepared to help bridge the digital and AI divide across the region. He emphasized the need to commit to green and low-carbon growth, urging economies to enhance synergy in green development strategies and promote the free flow of green technologies. The president noted that China has built the world's largest renewable energy system, submitted its 2035 climate goals, and pledged to further reduce carbon emissions. He also called for building an inclusive, universally beneficial future and encouraged economies to advance the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development to eliminate poverty and promote shared prosperity. President Xi added that China will enhance AI applications in healthcare, improve digital literacy for women, and ensure that all of the Asia-Pacific region benefits from APEC cooperation.
That was Chi Zhi reporting. The Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, or APEC, represents 2.9 billion people, about 38% of the world's population, and drives 60% of global GDP. Nearly half of all global trade passes through the region, underscoring its central role in the world economy. Regional integration has been further strengthened by frameworks such as the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP. Last year, trade among RCEP members reached $5.7 trillion. The bloc now attracts more than 30% of global foreign direct investment, and the IMF projects it'll contribute nearly one-third of global economic growth by 2030. For China, APEC economies are crucial partners, accounting for over half of its total foreign trade. Beijing has been enhancing regional connectivity through infrastructure projects like the China-Laos Railway, while deepening innovation partnerships through more than 100 science and technology cooperation agreements. Through platforms such as the China-ASEAN Expo, cooperation is evolving beyond traditional trade toward full-chain innovation, linking research, production, and sustainable development. China is also helping drive a greener and more inclusive future for the Asia-Pacific, supporting initiatives like Peru's Chancay Port and electric bus systems in Latin America, expanding the region's commitment to clean growth and shared prosperity. Meantime, President Xi has announced that the southern Chinese city of Shenzhen will host the next APEC economic leaders meeting.
中方将于明年11月
China has chosen Shenzhen of Guangdong Province as the venue for the 33rd APEC Economic Leaders Meeting in November next year.
President Xi said China looks forward to welcoming all sides in Shenzhen next year to chart a course for Asia-Pacific development and build together a brighter tomorrow for the region. Following the announcement, South Korean President Lee Jae-myung said he looks forward to meeting APEC leaders next year. Lee says the meeting in Shenzhen will be even more successful. Now, here's a brief look at the city on China's southern coast. Once a small fishing village, Shenzhen is now a mega metropolis after nearly 5 decades of growth. It benefits from its status as China's earliest special economic zone. It also enjoys policy flexibility as a coastal city with direct land border access to the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. Shenzhen's Qinghai-Shekou Pilot Free Trade Area is making strides in promoting business and personal development in Hong Kong and attracting foreign capital as the area aims to drive the country's opening up. Shenzhen has also become a hub for finance technology and innovation. The city is now home to over 25,000 national-level high-tech enterprises, including tech giants Huawei, Tencent, and DJI. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung has announced that the APEC economic leaders meeting has adopted the Gyeongju Declaration. Shin Ham takes a closer look.
President Lee Jae-myung announced there that member economies have in fact successfully adopted the Gyeongju Declaration. Take a listen.
As an outcome of these discussions, the economic leaders adopted 3 key outcome documents. First, the Gyeongju Declaration. The declaration reflects the members' strong commitment to realize APEC's mid to long-term blueprint for the future for building an open, dynamic, and peaceful Asia-Pacific community and to achieve the Putrajaya Vision 2040.
The second document is the APEC AI Initiative, which holds the policy directions for all member economies to participate in the AI transformation and enjoy the benefits together. The third document is the APEC Collaborative Framework for Demographic Change, which presents policies for APEC member economies to respond to demographic changes due to low birth rates and aging.
You know, just to go a little closer in depth into the wording of this declaration, they agreed that APEC members, that the Asia-Pacific region, in fact, stands at a pivotal juncture and acknowledged that global trading system right now continues to face significant challenges. President Lee told reporters that, quote, APEC members managed to reach agreement on trade smoothly, underscoring the spirit of cooperation that defined this year's summit. The Gyeongju Declaration encapsulates the summit's core outcomes, reaffirming APEC's commitment to open trade, sustainable development, and inclusive growth powered by innovation. In addition, member economies of APEC were able to adopt 2 other statements, like you heard just a moment there, addressing AI and demographic change. President Lee previously emphasized the rapid rise of AI technology and the long-term demographic shifts caused by low birth rates and aging populations. We know he's called for efforts to create AI-friendly social and economic environments, strengthen public-private partnerships, and support innovation. He said at the press conference that the key principle is to build an AI-based society that drives inclusive growth, or AI for all, in other words. So on demographics, he warned that population aging and declining birth rates present real serious, far-reaching challenges that no nation can tackle alone, for reasoning to establish this joint framework on this issue.
That was Shane Hum on the Gyeongju Declaration. To help us better understand President Xi's state visit to South Korea and the APEC economic leaders meeting in Gyeongju, I earlier spoke with Lee Jang-ju, a reporter and the Korea Herald, for more insights. How are people in South Korea reacting to President Xi's state visit? And after this visit, what's the general expectation for the future of China-South Korea ties?
So in South Korea, since this is the first time in 11 years for Xi Jinping to visit Korea, many have been wondering what that could look like to improve South Korea-China relations for the next coming years. So generally, many Koreans are looking forward to Korea-China ties to loosen up a little following this meeting, as it has been quite tense ever since Korea decided to deploy the U.S. missile defense system, THAAD, in 2016. So, of course, this one summit during APEC isn't going to solve everything. But as you know, since China does play quite a key role in terms of how the economy flows in East Asia, and also it plays a really important role in relations between the two Koreas. So many Koreans are hoping for this summit to provide a little more stability economically and in terms of regional security after the two heads of state meet.
And how are major Korean media outlets evaluating the outcomes of this year's APEC meetings?
So many Korean media outlets have been rating this year's APEC to have been a great success, especially surrounding the tariff negotiations that settled down between Korea and the US, and also NVIDIA's pitch to supply 260,000 GPUs to the government and its conglomerates like Samsung, SK, Hyundai, and Naver. And additionally, the Gyeongju Declaration was made today at the end of the summit, and it called for joint cooperation and solidarity for economic stability and prosperity in the Asia-Pacific region. And many media outlets have praised the government for being able to bring these together at a time where the economy has generally been pretty bad for a lot of countries. And one newspaper also noted that South Korea, the fact that it's able to call for cooperation and joint collaboration, it reflects that its global standing has risen significantly and also its leadership and capability. And also with the APEC members expected to cooperate in the near future to strengthen AI-run businesses while also strengthening each of the country's AI potential. The media outlets are also looking forward to how that could look like for not just Korea, but also for the Asia-Pacific region, and what kind of a role Korea could play in it, or whether they will play a role as a leader or as a participant when it comes to those AI developments. But at the end, these declarations that come out of APEC are not legally binding, but are more operated on voluntary cooperation. And so the media outlets are also keeping an eye on how Korea or other APEC members will manage to bring what the declaration states to action, whether that would be through regular communication, cooperation, or through individual policies.
That was Lee Jung-ju sharing her observations in South Korea. Earlier, we also spoke with Antonio Basilio, director of the Asia-Pacific Entrepreneurs Association International Secretariat and chairman of its advisory board. He told us that China's leadership in regional cooperation is crucial for sustainable growth and resilient supply chains. He commended the country's efforts to strengthen multilateral trade and connectivity, calling Shenzhen a fitting showcase for next year's APEC meeting.
So we're looking forward to China's leadership, particularly since President Xi put an emphasis on the importance of regional cooperation in resolving the many issues that we face in the region. For example, on making supply chains more resilient, on making development more sustainable by addressing questions regarding energy, about protecting the environment, and also with regards to making economic growth and opportunities available and accessible to all sectors of our society. There are two key areas where China has contributed much. One is restoring faith in the and belief in the multilateral trading system. Of course, regional trading arrangements are very helpful, but they also contribute to restoring confidence in the multilateral trading system. The other point is on improving connectivity, both in terms of infrastructure, in terms of people-to-people connectivity, as well as institutional connectivity. I understand that will be one of China's priority next year, and the APEC Business Advisory Council, the business side of APEC, agrees and think that's also very important. And so part of our priorities next year is how to improve connectivity within the region as well as with the rest of the world. Very impressed and a very good location to host the APEC. And I think it's very demonstrative of the advances in technology, particularly China has achieved over the years. So it's a perfect location. And I think the modern side of China, the dynamic side, particularly in terms of entrepreneurial vigor as well as innovation, Shenzhen will be a very effective showcase of what China has achieved in this area. And I think the rest of the world, the other members of APEC, are looking forward to gathering together next year.
That was Antonio Basilio with the Asia Pacific Entrepreneurs Association speaking. And with that, we end this special edition of The Top Story. I'm Do Hongyu. Thank you for listening.